You're watching Act TV. My guest today is one of the latest political candidates to be endorsed by Bernie Sanders. Paula Jean Swearengin is running for the U.S. Senate on a platform of ending corruption, expanding healthcare coverage, and modernizing public infrastructure. She's with me today to talk about why those are such crucial policy standpoints for the people of West Virginia, whom she hopes to represent. Paula Jean Swearengin is a proud native of Mullens, West Virginia, and her coal mining roots run deep. She's a coal miner's daughter, granddaughter, niece, and stepdaughter. And she's now questioning whether the price for coal is too high for West Virginia. She is the only U.S. Senate candidate in West Virginia who is refusing all corporate PAC money. She believes working class Americans need working class representation, and that candidates for public office should be beholden to voters and not special interests. Paula, thanks for joining us on the program today.
Good morning.
Talk about how you became interested in politics and running for office.
It's kind of a long story. I was born a coal miner's daughter and granddaughter. And long story short, I drank acid mine drainage when I was a little girl. Our water was blue with a purple film. It had metal specks in it. And until my stepdad got laid off in the coal mines and we moved to North Carolina for a while, I thought my hair was red until I was 12 years old. We came back home and, I watched my grandfather suffocate with black lung. He was 45 years in the coal mines and he was a proud UMWA member. And he served in Korea. My daddy died at 52 years old because he served in Vietnam. He was exposed to Agent Orange and got cancer, and he had black lung. And I got active in my state because of mountaintop removal and because people still didn't have access to clean water. And I really thought that we needed economic development in our state. And that's just the problem. Here in West Virginia, we've been bid against each other for basic human rights. And if you agree with coal or not, it's not going to rebound. In the 70s, we had over 140,000 coal miners. We have less than 50,000 now nationwide. There's a lot of depopulation in our state. We're dealing with one of the largest addiction epidemics in the country, and we don't have a plan B. And it's about survival for West Virginians. We are the heart of labor. I'm very proud of my heritage. The miners of Blair Mountain, Mate One, Joe Hill, Mother Jones. And we've seen in 2018 where our teachers and our educators and state employees went on strike. And so, West Virginians, no matter what the nation thinks about us, we're really hospitable and we take care of each other. And we've seen a lot of candidates in 2020 run for office. We had over 93 candidates across the state that swore off corporate and corporate PAC dollars, and 43 of those candidates got through the primary. And it's really exciting here in West Virginia now. Every Democratic nominee for Congress, I'm one of those women, but we're all women, the first, second, third in United States Senate, and we're all progressive women that won our Democratic nominees. And, Bernie Sanders won all 55 counties in West Virginia 2016. It's not partisan politics. It's not about partisan politics for us. It's about survival. And especially for the women in this state, we're mothers, and we're standing up for the future for our children and our grandchildren.
We understand as we watch what's happening across the nation, how Donald Trump has, he struck a chord with working class whites, generally speaking, working class whites. And it seems to me that West Virginia, it's one of the poor states in the nation. And the fact that you and the other progressive women you were discussing have struck a chord there. What do you think it would mean for the country in general to see that working class state is going, to Sanders progressive as opposed to, going closer to like a Trump fascist?
Well, we did have a lot of people vote for Trump, but it's because we have to motivate the working class to the polls. We have more Democrats and independents registered in the state. And, people just want represented. They're tired of the lesser two evils. Like I said, it's not about partisan politics. It's about us having true representation. And to me, being progressive means progress. I really don't like the dividing labels because we do have to motivate people to the polls, and I don't want to be divisive. We just want true representation. We want economic development in our state. We want Medicare for all. We want long-term solutions to the addiction epidemic, and I think everybody across the country wants to be served. And it's about people, no matter what their party affiliation is, that they're true public servants, that at the end of the day, when they make decisions, they don't have to agree about everything, but they have to agree to serve the people that put them, that they're supposed to serve, instead of big corporations and lobbyists. And that's the big thing, and that's what's wrong with a large part of our governments. We don't have a government that serves us. We have people that are supposed to represent us, that represent special interest. And I'm a firm believer of a government by the people, for the people, and of the people. And we're seeing people rising up across the country, even with brand new Congress. I'm affiliated with them. All say to candidates like myself that are ordinary people that don't take, corporate PAC dollars, and that just want to bring change across the country, because it's so needed in our state, in our country.
What does it mean to you to not be taking corporate donations at this time in history, when it's really a David versus Goliath type of fight?
It's a lot of hard work, but it's important to me. If I do to go to Washington, D.C., and I put my feet on my desk, I'll have nobody but the people that get me there. Special interests are not going to put large sums of money unless they're trying to sway legislation that's introduced. And it's important to me when I go to DC to be a public servant. This is probably one of the largest job applications I ever had in my life. But to make sure that people across the country, especially the people at West Virginia, have a seat at the table on decisions that impact their lives, and also help write legislation that I'll introduce, because the people in the front lines of our communities have been solving our problems for a long time, while a lot of our incumbents are serving special interests instead of the people here.
I think it's unfortunate that sometimes people who work in the coal industry become demonized by environmentalists for not wanting to let go of this older industry in order to transition to something cleaner. That's policies aside, Trump policies aside. How can we pay respect to the people like those in your family who worked in the coal mines, while at the same time encouraging the transition to a cleaner energy at this time in history?
Well, the Industrial Revolution was built on the backs of people in Appalachia, their families, and surrounding communities. And the largest employer in West Virginia right now is Walmart. And it's hard to think about, clean water and clean air, and even what it's going to do to your body during your retirement age, when you're wondering where your next meal is going to come from. And that's the only opportunity that a lot of people have in the hills and the hollers. And when you're fighting to survive and there's nothing else, then what else are you going to do but go to a job that you did, that the only job that's there, and that pays above minimum wage. Walmart, we can't even sustain Walmart here in Boone County, because the people are so poor here. And when people have cardboard for windows and they live in impoverished conditions comparable to third world country, and they can go into a coal mine with a high school degree and make $80,000 to $90,000 a year, anybody would want that, But then what's happened now is the social environment has changed, because the boom and bust has always been here, but this is the biggest bust in the market that we've ever seen. And there has been no just transition, and people are literally starving right now. And people just have to understand, when you're desperate to survive, you make hard decisions. And that's what's happened to a lot of people in Appalachia. Are you there? I think we're catching back up. I think I hear you now. Yeah, I see that. Okay. The general's in November. And if people want to go to my website, it's paulajean.com. That's Jean with a J. And they can find us on Facebook and Twitter at Paula Jean 2020. And thank you so much for the opportunity. And I'm sorry your internet connection went out.
Paula Jean, would you mind staying on a couple more minutes while we see if Julianna could get back on? Sorry about
Absolutely.
this.
Sure.
I'm gonna maybe I'm still in my pajamas, so I'm sorry about that. But I'll hop in. Hi, how are you doing?
Hi.
I'm gonna check to see, Messiah, maybe you could check to see if we have some questions from people in the Twitch chat. Can you see that? Paula Jean, can you talk a little bit about your the incumbent, that Capito, and why it is that you're the better person to represent West Virginians?
Well, Shelley Capito, was the first woman to be elected in the United States Senate to represent the state of West Virginia. She has less than 2% of her donations is individual donors, and she has probably I think it's over $3 million in her campaign account right now. She is her top donors are industry and the pharmaceutical company. And she has voted against equal pay for women at least 3 times. And she's even tried to turn Medicare into a voucher program. She's a mother and a grandmother like myself. And she has not represented West Virginians. She is out of touch. I wonder if she's ever wondered where her next meal will come from, and how can she truly represent West Virginians when she doesn't even understand the dynamic of what it is like to live in our communities and to be, poor and sick, because I don't think she ever has been. And it's time for her to go, because we feel like we're really misrepresented in Washington.
Oh, Julianna, we can't hear you yet.
Looks like she's muted.
Well, my first thing is the apologies for the technical difficulties here. We're producing all of act.tv's content right out of 4 different people's homes using satellite technology and Zoom and any number of things. So I do apologize for that, and thank you for bearing with us as we try to bring folks news about the progressive community. And your campaign is really exciting to everyone who is following along. How can we help your campaign along as you continue in your fight?
Well, we still accepting individual donations. So if every little bit counts, and if anybody could donate, that'd be wonderful. So we can still can be competitive with our incumbents. And we are still recruiting folks to make phone calls and make impressions. Right now during COVID, we don't know what's going to happen, so we've had to be really inventive when reaching voters in West Virginia. And you have to be already in a state like mine to reach folks up in the hills and hollers, and especially when we don't have comprehensive broadband and we've needed a good infrastructure for a long time. But like I'd said before, folks can go to my website, paulajean.com. That's Jean with a J. And I'm Paula Jean 2020 on Facebook and Twitter. And just share as much as possible and just get the word out. If you have friends in West Virginia, it's hard to make those impressions with folks in the hills and hollers. Let them know about our campaign, and let folks know that it's not about me. This is about us. This is about West Virginia surviving, and this is about us having true representation for a change.
We have been speaking with U.S. Senate candidate Paula Jean Swearengin here on act.tv. Follow her at Paula Jean 2020 on Twitter. And don't forget to donate or, sign up to make some phone calls. Although she is running for West Virginia, she is running for a Senate candidate seat. So this is a big deal. It would be wonderful to have a Bernie Sanders endorsed senator out of West Virginia, out of to represent the people. And I commend you for all the work that you're doing to try to get there.
Thank you. Everyone have a good day.
You have a good day too. You're watching Act TV. I'm Julianna Forlano. Thanks for bearing with us through the technical difficulties, and thanks for making an appearance, Alana. That was very exciting for me to come back to see Alana Levinson, who is so important and integral to the production of this program. Keeping it up. So that was great.